podcast. My name is Amanda. I'm here with my very lovely mother.
Hi, I'm Janette.
And if you hear any background noise, it is just my mom's cat who has decided to play her tunnel in this very moment. So hopefully she's not too loud as we record today.
Always at the most inconvenient time.
And hopefully the microphones are able to cut out a lot of that background noise. Today I'm excited because we are going to do we're continuing our deep dive into the Epcot pavilions. And today we are doing Norway. Today we're deep diving into the Norway pavilion. The Norway pavilion is the second pavilion on the left side of the World Showcase between Mexico and China, and it is designed to look like a Norwegian village. So
it does.
Pretty obvious, I would say, overall when you see the Norway. So some history into the Norway pavilion. It is the most recent nation to be added to the World Showcase. It soft opened on May 6th, 1988, but the grand opening did not occur until Harald V of Norway, who was then the Crown Prince of Norway, dedicated the pavilion in a ceremony that was broadcast live to the entire nation of Norway, I guess like on their news.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, so Henry V, the Crown Prince of Norway at the time in the 80s. So the original idea was to create a Nordic pavilion that would combine elements from various countries into one exhibit. So it's going to combine kind of all of Scandinavia into Norway. So 3 countries were consulted for this, but in the end, it just ended up being investors from Norway. They raised over $30 million, and then they decided to exclusively make the pavilion just for Norway. Disney contributed to the other 1/3 of the construction costs, and in 1992, the investors who invested into the Norway pavilion, they sold their stakes to Disney. So then Disney had the stakes. And so Norway was kind of because they were kind of selling their stakes away, they felt like because so many people were visiting Epcot at this point, and the government felt like it was still a good promotional tool for the tourism industry in Norway, that they didn't feel like they needed to contribute financially anymore.
I was going to say, okay, so Disney owned that almost right away, right after they put it in. Okay.
Well, a couple of years, yeah. So within 5 years, Disney basically owned the pavilion, but Norway helped front the cost for it.
Right, to put it up.
Yeah, but they still helped out. Good promotional tool for the tourism industry. The federal government continued to contribute $200,000 annually for 5 years to help fund the exhibit, and this was renewed in 1997 for another 5 years until the government eventually stopped making the payments in 2002. So in 2002, the Norway pavilion officially stepped away, and this was also against the recommendations from the American embassy. The American embassy did suggest for Norway to stay involved. I guess maybe it was just too expensive for them. I don't really know what the relations were looking like that internationally, but yeah, Norway decided to step away though. In September of 2014, Disney officials announced that the Maelstrom attraction would be closed and renovated into the new attraction for Frozen. We'll get to that in a little bit. I also want to note too that Maelstrom did open with the attraction as well, so it was an opening day attraction. Frozen Ever After opened in 2016, and it is basically the same ride structure as Maelstrom. We'll kind of get to that a little bit later as well. And also, due to the popularity also of Frozen, apparently the Norwegian government, I think, was okay with changing Maelstrom into Frozen.
I was going to say, because once they had no say, that was when Disney could get in there.
I don't think they were fully against it, so it's not like they were like, how dare they change Maelstrom, into Frozen.
Well, they were putting it in a movie that takes place in,
Yes, because the way Disney proposed it was that Frozen Ever After was intended to bring more attention to the Norway pavilion and to represent Scandinavian culture.
And it does.
So, for sure, I would definitely agree. All right, let's get to some history of the buildings. So the Norway pavilion is 58,000 square feet, or 5,400 meters squared, and again, designed to look like a Norwegian village. I would say the main architectural structure is the Stav Church, or Stave, or Stave Church.
I don't know how to say that. Yes,
I'm going to say Stav, because that's what comes naturally, but I apologize if I'm mispronouncing the word Stav.
Yes, I have no idea.
A Stav Church is a medieval wooden Christian church building that used to be common in all of Northwestern Europe. It is really no longer common, honestly. It blends Christian symbols with Viking images, and it was initially created to bring Christianity into that area of the world. When Christianity was just like, we're going to take over the world type of thing.
We're going to keep spreading.
Yes, that is where the Stav Church came from.
That's interesting.
So, for instance, even on the head, on the eaves of this building, you'll see little wooden head dragons, which again is the nod to the Viking culture. The name derives from the building structure and post of the way the wooden is constructed, and it uses a type of timber framing where the load-bearing or pine posts are called staffer, which is like a word in Old Norse, but it's like a type of architecture.
That's interesting. Okay.
The Stave Church in Epcot actually houses the main table service restaurant,
which we have not been to.
Ironic. This is Restaurant Arcus, and it resembles its namesake in Oslo. So again, the Stave Church is one that looks like one of the Stave churches in Oslo in Norway. Other European countries also had their own Stave churches, but only in Norway are these churches even still standing. There used to be 1,000 Norwegian Stave churches in the Middle Ages, but only 28 survived to today.
Okay.
And the most notable one is the one in Oslo.
Right, and I would say that at this point they're preserving them.
Yeah, for sure. I think now, I would agree that at this point, it's like
this,
historians are
right,
like, oh, we
this
got
time
to
in the world,
preserve.
they realize we have to preserve these because they're the only ones
or
left.
else they'll be lost to the world. So, all right. So outside of the Stavy Church or outside of the restaurant is the statue of Olaf II Haraldalsson. And I, again, apologize if I'm saying his last name wrong. I 100% am. I don't know. I don't speak any Scandinavian
None of us
languages.
do.
And I have a thick American accent. So again, just outside restaurant Arkersjøs is the Olaf II Haraldsson statue. He is also known as Olav Haraldsson. And then he later became known as Saint Olaf and Olaf the Holy. He was the king of Norway from 1015 to 1028, which is wild if you think about 1015 to 1028. Think about how long ago that was.
I know.
Over 1,000 years ago. He was the king of Norway. He was son of Harald Grensky. Apparently, Harald Grensky was like not a great king. People are saying that he was like one of the worst kings in Norway.
Really?
But Olaf was considered a good king. He was posthumously given the title, I'm going to read it in English, his title, the Eternal/Perpetual King of Norway. So that's how he's known in Norway. And he's canonized by the Bishop Grimketil 1 year after his death in the Battle of Skitselstad on July 29th, 1030.
Wow.
So again, this is when he kind of became a saint
Canonized,
in Norway.
right? Became a saint.
His remains were enshrined in the Nidaros Cathedral, and then they built, a shrine over this burial site. And his sainthood encouraged the widespread adoption of Christianity by Scandinavia's Vikings and Norsemen. So because of him, again, he is the one who brought the Stav Church to Norway in the first place.
And then he encouraged other people to
and then he
follow.
became a saint, and people really liked him. So then Christianity made him into a saint. So a lot of people became Christian because of that. So definitely an influencer, if you will.
Right.
The saga of and again, I think in Norwegian it's Olav, but in English we would say Olaf with the F, but it's actually spelled with a V. Haraldsson, and the legend of the Olaf the Saint became central to their national identity at the time, especially during the period of romantic nationalism. Olaf was a symbol of Norwegian independence and pride. Saint Olaf is also symbolized by the axe in Norway's coat of arms and Olask, and is still celebrated on this day on July 29th. So July 29th, as of filming, was just a few days ago, but by the time this comes out, it was a couple weeks ago. So I should have pushed this one up a little bit, but I didn't know that. So, and many Christian institutions with Scandinavian links as well also attribute like Norway's Order of the Saint Olaf after him. So he was a major player in Norwegian history as well as Norwegian religion
influence.
too. Yeah, so that is why his statue is outside of the Norway pavilion, which is kind of fun.
I actually know that statue. I remember it's there.
Yes.
Okay.
It's funny. I never really knew who he was though. I never thought
No, you
about
pass it and you realize he's somebody important, but yeah.
So the overall pavilion showcases 4 styles of Norwegian architecture from 4 main cities in Norway. The first is the Setesdal style. So this is kind of the wooden log house. So if you're facing the pavilion, kind of to the left, you see those thick logs with the grassy roofs.
Right.
And then this is also where Puffin's Roost and the Kringle Bakery is. So that is the Setesdal style.
Okay.
Then we have the Bergen style. This is kind of the different colored townhouse type looks. So the Fjording shop, for instance, and the gabled windows and like the close set wooden buildings.
Right, they have those lighter
those
colors.
like different colored
Right.
buildings. That's the Bergen style. I feel like this is a style a lot of people think about when they think of Scandinavia
Yes.
too. Then we have the Oslo style. This is a bit more modern but still wooden. And in the pavilion, this is the surrounding walls of the Akershus castle. So those walls are supposed to be part of the Oslo style.
Okay.
And then finally we have the Allison style. This is also similar to the Bergen style, but the buildings are like a little bit bigger and they're a little bit more modern. So like white stucco, they have more stone trimming, so not fully wooden. They kind of have
When
a
you're
little bit more
outside looking at
materials.
the whole look of it, it looks like it all blends in. It's like you don't see 4 separate.
Yeah.
You see some different aspects of each building, but it does look like just like a Norway village. It looks like it all just blends in.
So they tried to represent different areas of the country in the one pavilion. Which once you realize that there's different architectures,
Right.
you do
Now
see
I'm going to
it.
look for it when we go next
so
time.
I feel like when I was looking at
Yes.
photos, I did see it and I was like, oh yeah, it is different. But I agree that it's like if you
But
didn't know that,
when you look at
just
it, you
looks
think
so
it's
cohesive.
it's just different because of the different, like the restaurant and the church and the shops, and you think it's different because of that, not because of the different styles. So I'll have to give it a like we do after every one of these episodes, we give it a more detailed look when we get there.
I agree. And I think this is interesting too that they decided to go with all these different architectural styles because not all the pavilions do that. For instance, the France pavilion is really just Paris for the most part.
Yeah, they don't
And
go
if
out into the
you-
countryside.
Yeah, if you think about how large France is as a country, they have the south of France, the north of France, central
Right,
France,
different-
many different architectural styles within the country of France, and they only do Paris in the pavilion. So that's even the same too, even like Morocco, honestly. Morocco is kind of the same. It's like that Moroccan Marrakesh feeling.
Yes, you get the Marrakesh feeling and
They
not
don't
all of
do
the rest
all the
of that
different
country.
areas of that
Right.
country, even in Italy, honestly. honestly. Italy kind of focuses on two main areas, the north of Italy and the south of Italy. But Italy is also a pretty big country with many different architectural styles and regions. So it's interesting how each pavilion dictates, whatever it may or may not be.
Well, it's like anything else. When they were doing this, it was the first time they were doing it. So their governments were what was pushing it along.
Yeah, or whoever decided in the deciding factor. So here, of course, I guess the Norwegian royalty did have some say or, some creative design in it.
Well, I think even when you get to when you go through when they used to have the movie, even then when they used to present themselves in the Norwegian, they presented themselves as very forward thinking in what they talked about.
Yeah, for sure. So the shops are decorated with large wooden trolls, and they sell an assortment of goods. We'll get to the shopping in 1 second. But I thought we would go, why trolls? Why are trolls such a big part of Norwegian culture? The tales of trolls in Norway are very integral to the country's folklore. It offers a window into the mystical and enchanting aspects of Norwegian culture. One of the most famous sites in Norway associated with trolls is Trolltunga, which is a spectacular, this is what I found online, a spectacular rock formation jutting out of a mountain about 700 meters above Lake, Lake Ringdalsvatnet. There's a lot more letters. I did not say that word. But I tried to
big
search
lake.
Trolltunga.
One of their big lakes.
Yes. Another notable troll location is Trollstigen, which is a serpentine mountain road in Roma, or Rauma, Rama, which is part of the Norwegian National Road 63, it says. In Norwegian folklore, there are two types of trolls. You have the forest trolls and the mountain trolls. Forest trolls are usually smaller. They're a little bit less intimidating. They live in the forest, of course, living trees. And sometimes they're portrayed as being mischievous, but they're not usually harmful. Whereas on the other hand, the mountain trolls are the super large ones. They're much more formidable. They're very strong. They're usually depicted as being a bit dim-witted, so to speak, like not super intelligent. They're very strong and aggressive as well towards humans. They are said to live in the high mountains, and they can also cause major acts of destruction, again, in the folklore itself. Okay. However, despite both of these differences, their trolls are always characterized by strength, a very a strong connection to nature, like loving nature, loving where they are, protective over where they live, as well as just a general aversion to human beings. Like they generally don't really get along with humans in the folklore. I thought that was kind of fun. Right. It's just supposed to kind of intensify the magic of Scandinavia, which is why trolls. There are some photos and statues of trolls that look real scary. I'm not gonna lie. So when I was looking at this, some of these trolls look real
depicted. Yes. Yeah. In Disney World, they're all depicted as these cute little guys with beards.
They look a little cuter. Yeah, with the big noses and
big
the big eyes
beards.
And everything.
Yes.
Well, they don't usually have beards. That's gnomes that have beards.
I'm sorry. I'm confusing them with the gnomes.
Yeah, trolls can have beards too, for sure.
But yes, I think they have the big eyes and the big bulbous noses.
Are known for the beards. But yeah, so some of the trolls again are supposed to be super big, 10 feet tall type of thing, and then other ones are like the little forest trolls. Apparently,
don't they have a really really big one in the store?
They do. Yeah,
I was gonna say
the one with
you
the big
can take
nose,
pictures with and stuff. The big one.
Yeah, that says no climbing, but kids are always
climbing all over it. Right.
So, all right, so that brings us into the shopping. Yeah, where that big troll is. So they have two main stores: the Fjording and the Puffin's Roost. So the Fjording is the main store. I'd say it's a very big store. It looks like on the outside multiple buildings, but inside it's just basically all like one big room for the most part. They sell a variety of clothes, from ski coats, winter clothes, a variety of sweaters.
Stuff. Yes.
So many sweaters, honestly. If you want
beautiful
a sweater,
stuff.
This is where it's. They also sell Norwegian perfume, like very special perfume that's there. They sell kids' toys, candy, like Norwegian candy.
Right. Some very delicate jewelry.
Yeah, some jewelry as well. And as well as some of like the Disney stuff. Like you can still get like Disney costumes and stuff like that in here too. So some of the classic Disney stuff.
But they do sell their wares from the country, and some of that stuff is really well made.
Yeah, for sure. We definitely agree. So a lot of great stuff in the Norway pavilion. We always have to walk through there just to see. I do love their coats so much. Like if you want a nice coat, that's where I'm going for it. And they have some of the best raincoats too, like some Disney Disney cool Norway raincoats. I do like some of their items there. All right, now for some food. We have the Kringla Bakery Og Cafe. This is where the famous school bread is sold. So school bread is basically like kind of like coconut bread. It's like a coconut roll.
Oh yeah, school bread. Right.
Yeah, it is pretty sweet, I would say overall. So
everybody
I feel
raves about it.
Yeah, everyone really loves it. I do not like coconut, so I
coconut.
Personally would never eat this. So I could literally just never eat this just because I don't like coconut. But everyone says it's amazing. People say when you go to Oslo, they say that one's also amazing. However, I have heard the one in Epcot is sweeter than the one in Oslo.
Oh, okay.
Which makes sense. America puts more sugar and everything in what you
sugar and everything.
But I have heard that. And also apparently the Kringle Bakery has a Mickey-shaped cinnamon roll, which I didn't know that. When I looked at their menu, that was on their menu. And I didn't know they had a Mickey-shaped cinnamon roll. So didn't know that. No one posts about that. So
no.
They have other treats too. They have other like cookies and muffins.
Right,
and
we had one of their cookies that had the caramel in the middle.
Yeah, so they have a lot of options there, but the school bread is what's most famous. And then their other main restaurant is the Arcasius Royal Banquet Hall. And this is a Disney princess character dining. The only princess dining in the park of Epcot as well, and only one of 2 character dining in the overall Epcot park. And there's like 21 restaurants in Epcot, and only 2
they don't have much
dining.
character dining.
Yeah, and this is the princess.
That's why we've eaten in a lot of the restaurants.
So this is a buffet style dining. They serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You usually see 4 to 5 princesses when you're there, but they do switch out, so you're not guaranteed each princess when you go there. So the princesses that you may see is Belle, Jasmine, Snow White, Aurora, Pocahontas, sometimes Mary Poppins, sometimes Mulan, and they said very rarely Ariel. So apparently Ariel in like her little green dress sometimes will come
Doesn't
out.
fit in there.
But apparently she's like a rare character to see. But the other ones, like usually Belle, Jasmine, Snow White, and Aurora are like the main 4 that you'll likely see. So it depends apparently though. I also want to note too, for food, they often will have these special booths for the festival. So each festival they have like 1 to 2 booths, sometimes like a drink booth or another food booth, or many different booths with lots of different options for more Norway and or Scandinavian food that's there as well. Right. All right, let's go to our attractions. So this is the fun part. So we had Maelstrom from 1988 to 2014. The way that the ride is described is that you would leave present-day Norway to jump back in time to Norway aboard like a dragon-headed passenger boat. It said it could seat 16 people, which I guess makes sense because it's like 4 rows of 4 people, so 16 people. You would travel to this 10th century Viking village and enter the shadows of the mythical Norwegian forest populated by trolls. And this is when you kind of go up this hill, and there was like this dark, scary like little forest, and the trolls would cast a little spell on you because they'd be mad that you're encroaching on their territory. And then you would go like jump backwards, and then you'd be going backwards. And when you're going backwards, you're kind of going through now the North Sea. So you're going through this like storm of the North Sea. This is where you saw the big polar bear, like the famous polar bear that was on this ride.
Little puffins.
Yep. And then you get next to like another kind of foresty area, because then there's another troll, but this troll is a little bit nicer. Actually, I guess not. He's sending you away.
He's sending you away, sending you down, sending you away.
Not nicer. So then he sends you down yet another little hill as well. It's not like the biggest hill ever, but you can get a little bit wet over there.
According to where you're sitting.
And then this is where you enter, it literally says online, a calm fishing village. And this is where your boat docks and you will enter into a theater. And the theater was optional. It was only a 5-minute long show, but a lot of people did skip it and just walked right through. There's a widescreen theater. I'm assuming the theater is still there. I wonder what they used it for, but I don't know.
Oh yeah, I wonder where that is.
Yeah, so and you would watch this 5-minute showing that would take you on a tour of Norway and introduce you to its people.
We usually stayed for it. I liked it.
Yeah, it kind of did a mix of all different Norway. So it depicted a young boy in a museum looking at a classic Viking, like a boat, so to speak. And as he's touching the boat, he's seeing the history of his people, of like the Vikings back in the day.
Back to scenes from
as well as where Norway is in present day, like they are, of course.
Right, that's what I mean.
Country.
That's where I was saying when we got to this is that's where they were presenting themselves, is how modern they were, how forward thinking they were, and that was way back when this was,
as well as like the appreciation for their historic culture as well, which is really lovely.
They showed that they try to balance both.
It's kind of sad they took that away. I feel like
I liked it.
It didn't really hurt anyone for people to just keep that theater open with the thing. But
maybe they used the space for something.
Yeah, I'm sure it's being used for something. Maybe for who knows what it may be. So all right, some other attractions was the Kim Possible World Showcase Adventure from 2009 to 2012, which was replaced by the H&P World Showcase Adventure from 2012 to 2020, which was then replaced by the, what is it called? The DuckTales World Showcase Adventure from 2022 to the present day. So that's what we currently have, is the DuckTales World Showcase Adventure. It is fun to look back that we used to have the Kim Possible and the H&P one. I do remember the Kim Possible one.
That's the only one I know.
That one. The one former exhibit was a full-scale Viking ship inspired by the famous Osberg ship. This was formerly a children's play area, and the structure was removed in December 2008. I have no memory of this, so...
Oh, I do.
Where was it?
I do. I have memory of the ship.
I don't. I would have been 12.
And I have memory of you guys going on the ship.
Yeah, I don't remember it for some reason.
It was to the left. When you were looking at it, it stuck out to the left.
Okay.
That's where it was. I think there's a booth there now that serves beer and whatever on that side. Where that little booth is, where they have the line in front to get the beer, that's where I think the Viking ship was, because I do have memories of you and Luke being on the ship. We probably have pictures.
Yeah. I mean, like, I didn't see any photos though, at least.
I don't know. I'd have to look on my computer. I think maybe we'll have a picture. I don't know if I took a picture, but I remember you and Luke going.
Well, because I've looked through all of our Disney photos many times. I've never seen a photo. So
maybe I don't have a photo at that point, but I do remember seeing you and Luke on the ship.
Yeah, I don't remember it, which is pretty sad. So but
it was one of those little kid things. Oh, we have to do it. We have to do it. Yeah. So
So in 2016, as I mentioned before, that is when Frozen Ever After opened. So on September 12th, 2014, Disney announced that they were going to be changing Maelstrom into a Frozen-based attraction. So Maelstrom's final day of operation was October 5th, 2014. In June 2015, the then Disney Chief Operating Officer Tom Staggs revealed the plans for the Frozen attraction, and this was prior to the film's release, but it accelerated after the film's worldwide success. So again, even before Frozen came out, they were already
do that.
They were already planning and thinking of changing Maelstrom, which I think is kind of wild, honestly. And then once Frozen became literally one of the most popular Disney movies ever, they were like, oh, for sure, we're doing this. It was controversial at the time when they were going to change Maelstrom into Frozen Ever After, but the way that, because they were saying too that they're changing this very historic type of pavilion with like something fictional in its place. But Tom Staggs said, if the goal is to give people a taste of something like Scandinavia with the Norway pavilion, then Frozen would only increase the extent to which people would be drawn to it. To me, it doesn't seem out of character at all, which I would definitely agree with. I do think Frozen draws a lot of people into that Norway and Scandinavian culture. And it does fit in. Yes. I mean, like, Frozen takes place in Scandinavia. Yes. I mean, like, I realize that like Arendelle is made up, but for all intents and purposes, Arendelle could be in Norway.
It could be in Norway. That's what I mean. It was that theme. So obviously that's why they, it does draw people in.
Yeah. And I think it gives you the opportunity to then learn more. I think Maelstrom, I wish Maelstrom and Frozen After could exist simultaneously, because I did really like
mixed in
Maelstrom
together, somehow, because like I said, it was very interesting to see that.
For sure. So Disney released the first details of the new attraction and then finally revealed that it's going to be called Frozen Ever After, and used the same ride vehicles and the same course as Maelstrom. Right. They really didn't change anything at all. The audio animatronic figures for the attraction featured improvements to the facial animation that was used on Seven Dwarfs Mine Train. Seven Dwarfs Mine Train opened in 2014 in Magic Kingdom. Seven Dwarfs Mine Train, it was mainly only their eyes that were the animation, so to speak. Right. Whereas in Frozen After, it's like their whole faces are the animated.
Yeah, I'm not
screens.
crazy about the animation in Frozen Ever.
The audio animatronics are also the first ever all-electric audio animatronics, which previously audio animatronics were either pneumatics or hydraulics. So these ones are all electric. While there are no new songs, of course, in the ride, they did redo some of the original songs with like revised lyrics so they could be played on a loop, basically. I wouldn't
know because I'm not really familiar.
On May 2016, the Disney parks revealed that the attraction would open on June 21st of that year, which means that the ride only took 2 years to create. So it was a very short time overall to make it.
They didn't have to reinvent the ride. They just had to redo it.
For sure. On opening day, the wait times were over 5 hours long, and the line started...
It's still sometimes 5 hours long.
Yeah, the line started in the China Pavilion.
Oh, wow.
And Epcot employees actually gave out ice cream and water bottles to guests to cool off in the sun because it opened on June 21st, remember? So I would agree. I don't think this ride was done very well, personally. No. I think it almost felt like it was rushed to open because they knew Frozen was such a big thing. So they're like, well, let's get it up and going. It is funny because now that Disney Hong Kong, Disneyland Tokyo, and Disneyland Shanghai have their own version of the Frozen ride, their versions are 10 times better than our version. Right. And I think that is hard to see how great theirs looks and then compare the audio animatronics to ours and be like, wow, ours are not good. No. Like the screen faces are not good.
No.
Yeah, and when the screen faces go out, it is creepy. Their faces are black.
Their faces are just black.
It looks creepy. Yes. It's very strange when that happens. I mean, like, it looks strange too in Seven Dwarfs Mine Train when their eyes are black. I feel like it's almost worse when the eyes are just black. Just dead and gone. Yeah, I do not like the audio animatronics, honestly, on the Frozen ride. I'm not a big Frozen fan, if I'm being honest, either. I love Frozen, but it's not my favorite.
But like you said, talk about a draw. I mean, sometimes this ride is three hours long.
For sure. Wait. And it is a fun ride. It is a very cute ride. I just wish the audio animatronics were better, I think is the only thing. Especially too because Olaf and Sven, the little snowman and the moose, their faces are normal, but just their eyes are the animations. So it's weird to have like Sven, the moose, who like looks regular, and then be next to Kristoff that has like a fake animated face.
It's almost like a screen with a fake
it's
animated.
Like a weird juxtaposition between.
And you're so close to it that you can actually. That's why I said I'm not a fan of the animatronics. I agree.
You're very close to these animatronics,
so you can actually see the detail.
Yeah, I just don't love it. Yeah, I don't love it. I don't think it's great.
I think they rushed that part.
Yeah, I think for them to redo it will cost them too much money though to redo it. So
Well,
I
they'd
don't
also
think
have to
they're
shut
going
it
to redo
down
it
for a long time, and yeah, I think so.
But I do think even if they closed Frozen Ever After, I do think there is enough in the, like with Remy's Ratatouille Adventure, it's not like that's the only kids ride now.
No.
There's enough
They
in the
could do
park
something
where they
with
could
it.
close it and refurbish it.
And what's the most they have to do? Just change the animatronics a little bit.
Yeah, but I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're just going to leave it and they're just going to build new stuff. And then, I don't know, maybe 50 years down the road.
When they need to refurbish.
Yeah. Highly doubt that's going to happen though, personally.
Right.
But yeah, I just think Frozen Ever After to me was a disappointment when it opened. I didn't love it. I was not rushing to go.
Especially
on
if we stood online forever.
Yes. Although I did like the queue a lot. The queue is very cute when you're in the little Norwegian village.
Yeah, you feel like
it's
really you're in there way too long.
Yeah, you're in there too long.
No,
but
way
it's
too
cute.
long.
I do like that.
Another one that has little rooms you have to go through.
Yes. All right. The other main attraction, so to speak, is that you can meet Anna and Elsa. Anna and Elsa's Royal Summer House. So that opened in 2016 to the present. So they have their own special meet and greet here. So I believe they now wear the costumes from Frozen 2, if I know.
Oh, okay.
So Anna will be dressed in like kind of like the white costume, so to speak. I'm pretty sure. I don't know if they ever still wear like the previous, like the Frozen 1 costumes. I'm not really sure. Maybe they switch back and forth. We don't do meet and greets. I wouldn't know, honestly.
Right.
But you do wait, like the meet and greet is indoor. So it's not like an outdoor meet and greet. You wait on a proper line and then you go meet them inside with like a special little backdrop and stuff. And, you know, people love their meet and greets. Very fun. Great for them to have their own meet and greet inside. And around Christmas time, you can also meet Sigrid. Sigrid, who will tell you about the mischievous Christmas gnome Julianessen. So that is their Christmas theme. Their Christmas theme.
Instead of a Christmas
attraction.
Santa Claus, they have a gnome.
They have their Christmas gnome. There was something else I read about that they did have like a version of Santa Claus, and their version of Santa Claus is more based around like the small folk is what they call it, but like a regular guy type of thing who would go around, you know, on Christmas Day and give kids, you know, like a little bit of candy or
Santa
something.
Claus. I know that, like I said, every country had a Santa Claus.
Yes, but in here you have Sigrid who tells you about the mischievous Christmas gnome. So I thought that was kind of fun though. Of course they have a gnome, not a troll, a gnome. So yeah, but that was a lot of the main research I found on Norway. I'm sure there's a lot out there that we could keep doing. There's a lot of little things too about the pavilion as well that you could find. For instance, there is that sword that is behind the waterfall that we didn't touch on. If you know about that, definitely let us know. I know a little bit about that, but not enough to really talk about it right now. But yeah, a lot of different things with the architecture. There's a lot of little hidden things in the windows, I know.
Well, also people who've been to Norway who are Norwegian would have more ideas.
For sure.
You know,
Who would
of what they're
recognize
looking
things.
at and recognizing some of this stuff.
Yeah, so let us know. What else did we not discuss today? Because again, there's a lot to discuss, but it depends how long we want this episode to be. So let us know on our Instagram. Our Instagram is almostamandax. I will have a dedicated Instagram post for this episode where you can let us know. What else do you know about Norway? Do you like the Norway pavilion? Are you Norwegian? Have you been to Norway before? How does it compare? I have not been to Norway before. It's one of my top destinations I want to visit. So hopefully one day I do get to go, but I would love to go to Norway. I would love to hear your thoughts as well. Do you have anything else for Norway?
Covered pretty much everything that we can tell. Like I said, we didn't eat in the restaurant, so I really have no, you know.
All right, well, we can go to a little bit of Disney news now. So we actually have no Disney news for this week. So in real time when we're recording, this upcoming weekend is going to be D23.
Oh.
So D23 is the fan event that Disney does every 2 years or so. I think it's every 2 years.
I thought it was every year. Okay.
It's not. So it's
Wow,
every 2
time
years.
flies.
Well,
Okay.
D23 is every 2 years. On the off years, they still have some updates that they release, but the big convention is every 2
okay.
years. And this is where Disney is going to announce usually lots of big things. They announce things for, you know, like the upcoming movie titles for like years to come, like maybe even like a 5 to 7 year picture of things that are coming, things that they're working on, major changes that are going to be happening to the parks. For instance, like they announced Tiana's Bayou Adventure at D23 when they're going to do that a couple years ago now. They will announce often if they're going to do any big expansions. The rumor right now, so this will be fun. So by time this comes out, it will already have happened. The rumor is that there's going to be something big happening to Big Thunder Mountain. So either a big expansion in the park to expand Frontierland for Big Thunder Mountain and Tiana's Bayou Adventure, as well as maybe a refurbishment as well to the ride.
Okay.
So that's the rumor for right now that I've been hearing, but again, not really sure what they're going to announce. So I'm sure lots of fun stuff has been announced. So that's why I didn't want to do any Disney news, because whatever we have now is not going to be nearly as big or exciting for
next
D23.
one is going to have the big news.
Yeah, so depending upon the news, maybe we'll do a whole episode dedicated to whatever is announced in D23 and our thoughts behind it, just because it usually is a very big news day. And again, usually very exciting too. I know a lot of podcasters are actually flying out to LA to be there in person. A lot of times too, they will have a lot of stars, not just the Disney stars like the Imagineers and the, you know, the CEOs and stuff like that, but even, you know, like the actor type stars will be there, or voice actors will be there to be there to announce things, you know, on sequels, announce, again, I know they had the live action Moana in the works, maybe like the actors from that will be there to, you know, start doing some press and things.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are saying you can't even get a hotel room. It's like impossible.
Yeah, it's a major event. I know the tickets for it also sold out so quickly, and there's different tiers tickets. Like if you don't get the certain tickets, like you can't go to certain halls or whatever. And people were saying that it was hard to get the good ones because you want to be in the main ones, so you get the main news. Especially too, I think they do the parks news last. I think they do a lot of the movies and TVs first, and then on like the last day they do a lot of the park news.
The big news part.
Yeah, so well, at least for us, the big news is parks. Some people only don't go to the parks; they only care about the movies. As well as too, they announced like those big expansions on the international parks. So this affects the international parks as well. Like when they expanded Disneyland Tokyo to have the whole new Fantasyland area, that was announced at D23 too. So lots of news at D23. Hopefully it was good. We'll talk about it next week. So we don't know. But for now, we can do some Disney birthdays. We have one Disney birthday on August 15th. It is Howard Stark's birthday. That is Tony Stark's father. So happy birthday to Tony Stark's father, Howard.
He makes it. Okay.
And I also wanted to note too that this week when this podcast episode comes out is August 17th, which will be my wedding anniversary next year. Next year I'm getting married on August 17th. I'm very excited to get married. So yeah, so this is I forget what they call it. I think it's called like your unanniversary because it's not really your anniversary yet because it's like a year from now. So yeah, so in a year from August 17th will be my wedding theme, my Disney themed wedding. So very excited for that too. And that brings us to our final segment, our Disney memory. So you have a Disney memory for today's.
My Disney memory is the movie in Norway.
Yeah.
And mostly that little fishing village comment about how it comes out of where the troll sends you down or whatever. And all of a sudden you come into this very, very quiet, beautiful, serene. They actually have the little window with the lace curtains with the breeze blowing. And you can see the little lace curtains with the breeze blowing, little flowers outside of it. And you look at that with the boats and the things and that feeling and you say, I want to go to Norway.
Yeah, it's like you used to get off the boat and it would be like you were in the fishing village.
Yes.
And you would all wait there until the next showing opened its doors.
Right, then they'd open the doors and you walked into the theater, which was very modern because it had the modern like seats, backs and things. But in that village, it was
that little village was really
when
cute.
You pulled into there, your attitude was, oh wow, I want to go to Norway.
Yeah, I definitely agree. That was a really
that was
cute
my
village.
memory when you were talking.
I kind of missed that village too because the current village, it has the same look and feel, but it's not exactly the same as that one, I would say.
This was like when you see pictures of, even when they show you that movie and they show the little old lady walking down the street, it was those little windows with the lace curtains and the flowers and the things and the serene.
It was like so serene. Yeah,
yes,
so
and when
lovely.
When you were talking, that's the first thing that popped into my head was when you said that fishing village, I was like, oh God, just the feeling of getting into that room and just saying, can I stay here for a while? Yeah. It was so cool.
So my Disney memory is that, so we went on Frozen Ever After when it opened, and then we were like, wow, don't love it. Disappointment. We didn't go on again for many years. And then finally I told my mom, I was like, we need to go back on this ride. It's been too long. It's literally, I think it had been almost like 10 years that we'd been on it since it opened. So I forced my mom to wait an hour online. It was a miserable hour, a lot of standing still, barely moving. It is what it is. We finally get through, we combine with the lightning lane, and then we're getting on the ride. And as we're getting on the ride, we get the first row, and I'm giggling because I'm like, we're gonna get wet on this ride. And my mom is like freaking out that she's gonna get wet on this ride. And I told her, we're not gonna get that wet, it'll be fine. We're getting on the ride. Now what happened was that when they were lining us up, the boats are very small there. You could definitely fit more than 2 people, but it is a tight squeeze to fit more than 2 people, I would say. And so the cast member was saying, just stay with your party, like don't get on the boat with like another party.
Oh, that's what person kept trying to get on.
So what happened was that he was saying that, so we got on the boat, and so because he was saying stay with your family, like the way he was wording it to me, mate, was clear. But I realized what happened. We got on the boat, and I turned around. I realized the man that was behind us, who was behind us in the regular standby, so he also waited a full hour. He didn't get on the boat. He just stood there. Meanwhile, his kids in the 3rd row got on.
So they yelling at him
and his wife. So his wife is saying get on the boat, and he's like, no, like the cast member was saying not to get on the boat. And it's just like, and then I was just like, what is going on back there? And the man just stood there like not getting on the boat. Then the little doors closed and the boat left.
He just
so he didn't get on the boat behind us.
So he was with the next family.
Yeah, and it was so funny because his kids are like his grown kids, like their adult kids,
yes,
in the 3rd row, and they're like, why aren't you getting on the boat? It was so funny.
I shouldn't be laughing. One of these days that's going to be me.
I know, it was so funny, but it was just because the way I think the cast member was wording, saying like don't get on the boat with the other families. So I think he like just heard don't get on the boat. So he just but I'll never forget looking up, my mom freaking out. We were in the first row.
And we did get wet.
Yeah, looking over and then me telling my mom's like, wait, that man didn't get on the boat. It's just like, we just waited over an hour for this ride and he just stood there. And now they're going to get on the next boat.
They're going to have to wait outside for him to go through the ride.
It was so funny though. But I get it. It's confusing confusing sometimes if you've never done before, if you don't, if English is not your first language.
Right, especially that they're lining you up in groups. So like, even though because there are sometimes when you see when those gates open, you're getting on the boat and people behind you are trying to push you ahead so they can get on with you, and you realize you're saying no, you have to wait.
It's like you're not getting on with us.
Right.
So it's like this boat is only so big. Right. So
not sitting on my lap.
But extend this memory. Yes, we did to go on the ride. I told my mom we wouldn't get that wet. We did get wet. What happened is that the water came over this. She was covering from the front, but the water actually comes over the sides.
And
we didn't know that.
So you're sitting in a puddle.
Yeah, the water came over the side, and because I was sitting on the edge of the seat, the water went past my butt and went right to her
here's
butt.
the hint: sit forward. When it goes down that hill. Sit forward.
Yeah, I was sitting forward just naturally. I didn't even
because
think about it.
The seat rolls back, so when that water comes in, it goes right down across your back, and you get out, and your whole butt is wet.
Her whole butt was wet. But it was funny because she was so scared of getting hit in the front
face. I was covering my face.
Got hit by the sides.
Right. I figured it was going to splash down, and I was going to get hit in the face. I was walking around with a wet butt.
That
for
was
about
really
an hour.
funny though.
Yeah.
But then it dried. It dried. So
it's Florida. It dries fast.
I'll never forget that man who didn't get on the boat though. So
lots of drama on that ride.
I know. I hope he's doing well. Well, thank you everyone for listening this week. Make sure you give us a review on Apple Podcasts or Spotify, or leave a comment down below. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you follow us on social media, Elmhurst Amanda X. It will also be linked in our description below as well. And again, let us know what other details in Norway do you really like? Do you do the meet and greets all the time? One day we're going to be ranking the line queues as well. So what do you think of the line queue? Do you miss Maelstrom, or are you a Frozen Ever After person? I know I poo-pooed the ride, but are you like, that's my favorite ride in Epcot? How dare you poo-poo it?
It is somebody's because it's always crowded.
Yeah, it is a cute ride. I know lots of Disney people who love it.
The music is great. The imagery is great. It's just
So again, I'm not saying I dislike it. I just was a little disappointed that audio animatronics could have been better. So I think especially now with Tiana's Bayou Adventure opening and seeing Tiana's
what they're going to do in there
look incredible, that I think Frozen is just sad that she didn't get the same. So it is okay though. It's still a fun ride overall, and I still love Norway. Oslo, Norway is one of my top areas of the world to visit. So I hope I do get to Norway one day. I would love to do the Disney Scandinavian cruise around there, obviously. So perhaps one day I'll get to do that. Who knows? Anyway, thanks everyone for